Watching Blade Runner 2049 again for probably like the fourth time always brings me back to how great this movie was in theaters. Like the visuals and the sound on a huge scale is just like is always such a joy. Where even if it is quite a good movie at home, it is not quite the same as it is in theaters. And there's a couple of things about this movie that I really appreciated on this viewing. One, just to say again that Ryan Gosling is such a good lead actor. He's really one of my favorites because he has this ability to have a hardened shell that is so effective to helm a movie in a way where he's not trying to like over impress you with a lot of effort. He is just such a great anchor of a movie like this. This movie also has outstanding costume design, namely him and Sylvia Hoeks. I'm not sure how to pronounce her last name, who every single time I see this movie, I'm blown away by how good she is. Like, who is this person and where did they come from? And just like the way that she looks and her hair and her clothing is so exceptional as like a top tier elite replicant. It just looks amazing. It's so good. And I also really like in this movie the way that the Joy character sort of symbolizes him uh, hearing what he wants to hear and being told what he wants to hear to sort of bring up the fact that he's just a very interesting main character. And I still sometimes have trouble wrapping my head around how he thinks he's the one and he gets a messianic wound, but also, but to the end, he basically, his job is to bring Harrison Ford to Harrison Ford's daughter. And I still kind of have trouble wrapping my head around exactly how this all fits in, but I do think it is a great sort of modern subversion on what you think a tale is going to be like and who is going to lead it. I also am like continually impressed by how original this adaptation is and how interesting the adaptation of the original Blade Runner is and how great this movie is in some ways, because for him to Hampton Fancher to make this movie 30 years later, just to some degree, or yeah, 30 years later, is still like just so impressive to me, because there's just so much from the Philip K. Dick novel which is interesting, and they made it so much more, and I just appreciate that. One thing I heard about, or one thing I heard someone say one time, is that the second Blade Runner movie is a little inferior because it is more of like a solved story and more of like a puzzle to be taken apart, where the original Blade Runner is so great because you're left with so many lingering questions, and it lends to such great replayability because you're always like, what's the deal with Deckard? Like, how do these like clues that are planted in the movie um like kind of grow out? But there's some, this movie is more broadly appealing than the original Blade Runner for that reason, and I think is like, if you're, let's say right now 25, this would be, you're so lucky to get a movie like this when you're a teenager. Like, it just looks so good, and it's just sort of like just as much of a mystical ride as the original.